अस्सलामु अलैकुम। मैं ज़मीर अहमद अंसारी और आप देख रहे हैं जेड न्यूज़ फॉर यू। अर्ज यह है कि आपने अपने चैनल जेड न्यूज़ फॉर यू को अभी तक सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो सब्सक्राइब करें और साथ में दिए हुए बेल आइकन को भी दबाएं, जिससे हमारी आने वाली सभी वीडियोस के नोटिफिकेशन सबसे पहले आपको मिल सकें।
हाइव कॉन्क्लेव इवेंट। उद्योग जगत को भारत में पीपीपी कार्यक्रमों को लागू करने में अग्रणी भूमिका के लिए सामने आना चाहिए। आईआईटी मंडी हब, आईहब और एचसीआई फाउंडेशन द्वारा आयोजित हाइव कॉन्क्लेव 2023 के दौरान डीएसटी के वरिष्ठ सलाहकार डॉक्टर अखिलेश गुप्ता, विज्ञान और प्रौद्योगिकी विभाग के वरिष्ठ सलाहकार और विज्ञान और इंजीनियरिंग अनुसंधान बोर्ड के सचिव डॉक्टर अखिलेश गुप्ता इस कार्यक्रम में मुख्य अतिथि के रूप में उपस्थित थे। हाइव कॉन्क्लेव भारत में उद्योग अनुसंधान अभिसरण के लिए है एक अग्रणी मंच। अपनी तरह के पहले आयोजन में कई आईआईटी और अनुसंधान संस्थानों के प्रमुख शिक्षाविदों, शीर्ष सरकारी अधिकारियों के साथ साथ उद्यमियों ने लिया हिस्सा। नई दिल्ली, 18 नवंबर 2023। आईआईटी मंडी हब, आईहब और हाइव एचसीआई फाउंडेशन के संयुक्त तत्वाधान में आज नई दिल्ली स्थित होटल प्राइड प्लाजा में पहले हाइव कॉन्क्लेव का आयोजन सफलतापूर्वक संपन्न हुआ। इस आयोजन में देश के कई शोधकर्ताओं और पेशेवरों ने हिस्सा लिया। बता दें कि यह देश में अपनी तरह का पहला आयोजन था, जिसका उद्देश्य तकनीक के माध्यम से देश की आम समस्याओं को सुलझाने की दिशा में रिसर्च और इंडस्ट्री को बढ़ावा देना था। 17 नवंबर को एक नेटवर्किंग डिनर के साथ हुई इस कॉन्क्लेव में इंडस्ट्री, रिसर्च और गवर्नेंस जैसे कई क्षेत्रों के जाने-माने हस्तियों ने हिस्सा लिया और इस दौरान कई मुद्दों पर गहन विचार विमर्श और प्रस्तुतियां हुई। इस कार्यक्रम ने बाजार की वास्तविकताओं और आवश्यकताओं को समझने, देश की आर्थिक और सामाजिक प्रगति को बढ़ावा देने की दिशा में एक प्रभावी मंच की भूमिका निभाई। बता दें कि इस कार्यक्रम को लीडिंग थ्रू प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट फॉलोइंग इट विद सॉल्यूशन पिच थीम पर आयोजित किया गया था। इस कॉन्क्लेव की आधिकारिक शुरुआत 18 नवंबर को आईआईटी मंडी के निदेशक प्रोफेसर लक्ष्मीधर बेहरा के संबोधन के साथ हुई। इस दौरान उन्होंने आईआईटी मंडी आईहब को अपने कौशल विकास कार्यक्रम के लिए बधाई दी, जो न केवल कौशल प्रशिक्षण को बढ़ावा दे रहा है बल्कि रोजगार को भी सुनिश्चित करने में महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका अदा कर रहा है। प्रोफेसर बेहरा ने आगे कहा, आईआईटी मंडी हब ह्यूमन कंप्यूटर इंटरेक्शन में सबसे आगे है और इस दिशा में कई कार्य हो रहे हैं। हम अपना ध्यान थ्योरेटिकल रिसर्च से परे व्यवहारिक रूप से विपणन योग्य उत्पादों पर केंद्रित कर रहे हैं। शोधकर्ताओं के एक संघ के सहयोग से हम 4 बड़े प्रोजेक्ट पर काम कर रहे हैं, जिनमें इनोवेटिव आर्टिफिशियल प्रिंट करने योग्य भोजन के लिए बायो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग और मेड इन इंडिया एयर एम्बुलेंस जैसे पहलू शामिल हैं। हमारी ये प्रोजेक्ट्स हमारे जीवन की वास्तविक समस्याओं को सुलझाने की दिशा में हमारी प्रतिबद्धताओं को दर्शाती है। इसके अलावा हम नॉन इन्वेसिव डायबिटिक डायग्नोसिस, स्मार्ट योग मैट जैसे कई अन्य प्रोजेक्ट्स पर भी काम कर रहे हैं। युवाओं की सशक्त भागीदारी के साथ टेक्नोलॉजी इनोवेशन हब की सफलता दर 100% है, क्योंकि इसके अंतर्गत अभी तक 180 से अधिक छात्रों को प्रशिक्षित किया गया है और सभी ने नौकरियां हासिल की हैं। मुझे पूर्ण विश्वास है कि आज का यह कार्यक्रम आने वाले समय में दूरदर्शी विचारों को वास्तविकता का रूप देने में एक महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाएगा। वहीं मुख्य अतिथि डॉक्टर अखिलेश गुप्ता, वरिष्ठ सलाहकार डीएसटी और सचिव विज्ञान और इंजीनियरिंग अनुसंधान बोर्ड ने इस अवसर पर कहा, हाल के वर्षों में पूरे देश में सार्वजनिक निजी भागीदारी को काफी बढ़ावा दिया गया है। यदि भारत को आगे बढ़ना है तो उद्योग और शिक्षा जगत की समान भूमिका निर्धारित करनी होगी। हमें देश में स्टार्टअप्स को बढ़ावा देना होगा ताकि वे नवाचार और प्रभाव को पैदा कर सकें। आज हमारे देश में 1 लाख से भी अधिक स्टार्टअप्स हैं, जिनमें से केवल लगभग 3500 ही डीप टेक में हैं। हमें इसे बढ़ावा देना होगा। इस संदर्भ में आईआईटी मंडी हब, आईहब और हाई फाउंडेशन के सीईओ सोमजीत अमृत ने कहा, समस्याओं को पहचानने और उसके निदान में इंडिया सेंट्रिक डेटा सेट भारतीय बाजार में मानव कंप्यूटर इंटरेक्शन सफलता की कुंजी है। आईआईटी मंडी हब आईहब को इस पर दृढ़ विश्वास है। ये लीडिंग थ्रू प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट फॉलोइंग इट विद सॉल्यूशन पिच थीम के साथ आयोजित इस कार्यक्रम में स्पष्ट रूप से इंगित भी होता है। साथ ही इस कार्यक्रम में इस तथ्य को भी बखूबी उजागर किया गया कि परिणाम और प्रभाव एक दूसरे के समानार्थी नहीं हैं। इस कार्यक्रम को कई अन्य गणमान्यों द्वारा भी संबोधित किया गया, जिसमें प्रोफेसर एम बालकृष्ण आईआईटी दिल्ली द्वारा सिम्प्लिसिटी फोस्टेड बाय यूजर सेंट्रिक डिजाइन्स, प्रोफेसर अनिरुद्ध जोशी आईआईटी बॉम्बे द्वारा डिजाइन टेक्नोलॉजी सॉल्यूशन फॉर एंड विद इंडियन इमर्जेंट यूजर्स, लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल डॉक्टर अनिल कपूर द्वारा ह्यूमन मशीन इंटरफेस ए डिजाइन थिकनिंग पर्सपेक्टिव फ्रॉम लैब टू मार्केट शामिल हैं। हाइव कॉन्क्लेव में कई नवोन्मेषी प्रस्तुतियों और केस स्टडीज को भी पेश किया गया, जैसे कि डॉक्टर शतादल घोष आईआईटी मद्रास द्वारा बियॉन्ड द लाइन ऑफ साइट ह्यूमन ड्रोन इंटरफेस, डॉक्टर सुमित मुराब आईआईटी मंडी द्वारा उड़ी प्रिंटिंग के माध्यम से खाद्य पदार्थों का निर्माण और डॉक्टर गौरव जसवाल द्वारा ड्राइवर अलर्टनेस मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम एक केस स्टडी। इसके अलावा यहाँ डॉक्टर विशाखा भारती पुई लाइफ साइंसेज और डॉक्टर सुकोमल दे आईआईटी पलक्कड़ द्वारा एक फुल लाइफ साइकिल ऑफ ट्यूमर डिटेक्शन फ्रॉम स्क्रीनिंग टू डायग्नोसिस, डॉक्टर अमृता जैन एनएसयूटी दिल्ली और प्रियांशु प्रियम आयुसेक्ट्रा द्वारा ए ह्यूमन डिवाइस इंटरफेस फॉर स्ट्रेस मैनेजमेंट विषय पर प्रेजेंटेशन भी दिया गया। इसके अलावा कार्यक्रम में अनिल विश्वास जनरल मैनेजर ओपन इनोवेशन स्टार्टअप सैमसंग रिसर्च द्वारा बिजनेस टू कंज्यूमर बेस्ड इनोवेटिव प्रैक्टिसेस ओवर द लाइफ साइकिल ऑफ प्रोटोटाइप टू प्रोडक्ट, टाटा केमिकल्स लिमिटेड के सीटीओ के आर वेंकट्रादी ने अनुसंधान संस्थानों और उद्योग के बीच सहयोग लाभ और मॉडल बुमोडी-आर के संस्थापक श्रीधरन त्यागराजन और विप्रो के डिजिटल पार्टनर अनु पिल्लई द्वारा वास्तविक जीवन की समस्याओं को हल करने में नवीन प्रौद्योगिकियों का उपयोग विषय पर विस्तृत चर्चा की गई। कुल मिलाकर इस कार्यक्रम में रिसर्च और इंडस्ट्री के सहयोगात्मक प्रयासों को दर्शाती कुल 5 प्रेजेंटेशन थे। इन प्रेजेंटेशन के प्रभाव का मूल्यांकन विशेषज्ञों के एक प्रतिष्ठित पैनल द्वारा किया गया और विजेताओं को नकद पुरस्कार भी दिया गया। कुल मिलकर हाइव कॉन्क्लेव 2023 ने भविष्य के आयोजनों के लिए एक मिसाल कायम की है, जिसका उद्देश्य प्रौद्योगिकी की उन्मुख उपायों से वास्तविक दुनिया की समस्याओं का समाधान करना है। आईआईटी मंडी हब और HEI फाउंडेशन के बारे में आईआईटी मंडी हब, आईहब और हाइव फाउंडेशन एक टेक्नोलॉजी इनोवेशन हब है जो अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर स्वीकृति को हासिल करने की ओर अग्रसर है। भारतीय प्रौद्योगिकी संस्थान मंडी द्वारा भारत के नेशनल मिशन ऑन इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी साइबर फिजिकल सिस्टम द्वारा सितंबर 2020 में शुरू किया गया। यह प्रयास ह्यूमन कंप्यूटर इंटरैक्शन पर केंद्रित है, जिसका उद्देश्य तकनीक के माध्यम से कौशल विकास और उद्योग को बढ़ावा देना है।
Accidents happen due to driver fatigue. That is what we are trying to address. So you can see Himachal is not far away. It is number 5 when it comes to driver fatalities per 100,000 people. And I come from Karnataka, so Karnataka is just behind that. But Himachal, for its such a small population of 80 lakhs, having this kind of number is just frightening. So 40% of athletes, as I told you, comes from this thing. So many people may say that, hey, driver alert management system exists, but it does not exist in public transport system. You will never see a driver alert management system being done in a public buses. That is the problem we are trying to crack. I will tell you why it is a problem. So research papers, do you know that 400,000 papers have been established in the area of driver alert management system? 10,000 papers get published every year. Though there is a drop, because people thought that no one is working on that from the industry, so there was a drop. Here again, you can see, people will say, hey, products are available, Flipkart sells, driver alert management system, many others sell, but these are all products which are B2C, they are not been customized for public buses or the trucks, they are off the shelf, they cannot be customized, they are for experiments only and for toys. They are on foreign data sets. That is very important to know. Dr. Gupta mentioned about Indian Gen AI. We are creating the data set for Indian drivers for driver alert management system. No one has done that. We have created 40 GB of data now. We will be creating 4,000 GB of data on Indian data sets. And then we have seen products available for fleets and closed user group public transport. Like you can see Shell has a fleet management system where they have put driver alert management system. But if you see a Chandigarh transport undertaking or Haryana transport undertaking or Himachal, they do not have. I will tell you what is the difficulty doing that. So then the problem is, okay, define the problem, but is the problem worthy to solve? So here I've stolen the idea from Larry Page of Google, who has come out with a toothbrush model. The toothbrush model is like this. You should have the users for your product which you are building, and you should have the usage for the product. User and usage, they have put it as frequency and amplitude, because all of us are engineers here, so we would like to present that frequency and amplitude for a problem which exists should be there. And we have understood that the driver alert management system which we are trying to fix, 11.4% of the population in India uses public transport, and there are 2 lakh public buses in India. Public buses are used at least 2 times a day. So usage is there and user is there. Just to remember this, I've taken from Larry Page, who calls it as a toothbrush problem. The toothbrush model, you use the toothbrush twice a day, and everyone in the country uses a toothbrush to brush his teeth. So therefore, the first step of solving a problem is identifying and recognizing that it exists. So that is where we have figured out this problem. And the other 4 problems which Dr. Behra mentioned about digital smell, digital touch, digital air ambulance, and others which we are trying to work on, because we have figured out that there is a user, there is a usage. So what are the nuances? Why are we picking up this problem and making it look big? It is big because Indian data sets are not available. I will again reiterate the words of Dr. Akhilesh Gupta that researchers have been doing work on foreign data sets, Western data sets. They have not been creating Indian data sets. So we at the TIH are creating the data set which is Indianized. We have our colleagues Deepak and Sahil and others and Gaurav Jaswal who are working on creating this Indian data sets, which will be very important, and it will be a gift to the country of creating the Indian data set of Indian drivers. So within the Indian bus, you can see always there will be a guy who is behind the driver. So when you do computer vision and try to capture the driver's fatigueness, always the computer vision has to go to the driver's face, and again there will be disturbances because people are behind the driver. In a foreign bus, Western bus, there will be no guy who will be behind the driver. And you can see the crowded approach, the noise and other things in the Indian bus. On the Indian roads are not one unidirectional, they are multi-directional and multimodal. When they are multi-directional, multimodal, that creates a problem. And I know Gaurav is excited to tell that what kind of problem he is trying to solve when he has been given a deadline that he solve it. I said, no Western data sets, you have to go through a hard way, collect the Indian data sets. So this is what we are doing, because if when the flashlight comes, the computer vision technology will not work. So we have to come out with newer algorithms to fix the computer vision issue which comes through a flashlight when it comes on a two-way road. Sorry. So then the problem is we created this. Again, we have Mr. Sudhir Kumar who helped us. The Indian buses, we were given the target that there are 4 types of buses in Chandigarh transport undertaking. 3 are IC engine and 1 is electric vehicle. and each of the buses had a different type of dashboard. We gave the challenge to Sudhir Kumar, who has a degree from NIT Ahmedabad, and he is trying to help us in trying to create one device which will cut across any type of dashboard which is there in the Indian buses. First problem solved. Then therefore you can see the kind of options he gave to us, and we selected the third option. The third thing is how to place it, and how to then we are trying to figure out the problem. Okay, device is ready, Raspberry Pi or system on chip, everything can be done, but how do we build the algorithm which is Indianized? How do we do that? The drivers sit, in India the drivers sit on a driver's seat in a different way, not like the Western guys who sit straight and firm. So therefore, to find out those things, we are trying to figure out which algorithm will best suit. I think you can see the demo, how the first phase has been done. Gaurav is getting ready to present that. So therefore, I am concluding my slide where I say that we use the concept of backward movement. First, identify the problem, come out with a toothbrush model whether the problem is worthy to solve, then come out with the end user, what are the end user need, then come out with the ideation, then come out with the prototype, then come out with the product or service, and then come out with the specific service. Do not come out with a solution pitch without defining the problem. That is our Bible, and that is how we believe our world has to move when it comes to innovation. So problem statement leads, solution pitch follows. This is the backward movement. Then this is the stakeholders cluster. We would not have been where we are today but for the support of the government, but for the support of the foundation research at IIT Mandi and other IITs who are working with us in call for proposals, and with the startup community which is there today, where we have created a cohort between the research and the startup community. We will be presenting very shortly. And then the innovation hub is facilitating this activity, and this is an example of how we are facilitating it. Now I think BRL has been beaten to death, but I would like to highlight here, when I saw the interview of Dr. Krish Gopalakrishnan yesterday when the Infosys Awards were announced, he said the researchers stop at TRL level 3 when the paper gets published. While TIHs have to make the research move from 4 to 8 or 9. The same thing is for BRL. The draft business model is very important when you are doing TRL 3. We have mastered it. We have created our own application here, which is on Apple Store, which is on Android Store, and which is on web. Anyone is free to use it. All of you who are here, I would like to at least download this Innovometer, created and specially gifted to the nation by IIT Mandi IHub. So then we all come for these meetings, then we do not decide on KPIs. What is the KPI for the researcher? What is the KPI for the industry? So that we can work together. So I have just adapted this from a report of the government where they say that record successful translation research. That means the translation research which you do has to be recorded, and the faculty has to be promoted based on the translation activities it's doing rather than publishing papers or patents. And the industry should be supported there, how they are engaging with the research community. Making national and international impact with a defined tech ecosystem. If at all the definition has been given that you work on human-computer interaction, we have to see how we are working in assistive technology, experience technology, device-led technology, and generative AI, rather than trying to do many things and not trying to figure out on the defined tech ecosystem. Quality and impact of research. Number 3, innovation and entrepreneurship. How many of these faculty members are creating startups? I was told that in India the percentage is 1% of faculty comes out of startups, while in Western world it is as high as 9%. So can we figure out how to bring in innovation and entrepreneurship among the research community? Then capacity building. Whatever we do, is it worth scaling? Can it be scaled? That has to be also seen. Number 3 is collaboration, knowledge sharing, which is an effort which we are doing now today. So all these things, certain scores and weights have to be decided, and then we can come out with the KPIs. So if at all at the end of this conference we decide on this, I think that will be the biggest success of this conference or conclave. Thank you very much. I hope you will have an enjoyable session. Thank you. Sorry, fall in love with the problem and not the solution. That is the last statement. I am reading a book by Yuri Levin, the guy who started 2 startups and sold them to Google for $1 billion each. And here, this book is a wonderful book. Everyone should enjoy reading it and get ideas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for setting the conclave. There could be no other way to make us understand about what this conclave is all about. Now it's time for our first keynote address for the morning, and it is a very special one. We have with us IT Delhi's Honorary Professor M. Balakrishnan, who will share his wisdom on the simplicity fostered by user-centric design through the abstraction of its complexity, assistive technology case studies. Professor M. Balakrishnan, for the past 32 years, he is involved in teaching and research in the areas of digital system design, electronic design, automation, and embedded systems. Further, at IIT Delhi, he has initiated several programs and activities to promote research, startups, as well as outreach to the community, programs, activities to promote research, startups. He has one initiative called AssistTech, a laboratory and research group founded by him along with Professor T.M. Rao, Mechanical Engineering, is involved in developing several assistive devices targeted towards mobility and education of the visually impaired. I would like to welcome Professor M. Balakrishnan on the stage. Thank you.
Thank you to IT Mandi and IHAB for giving me this opportunity to share this experience. So all of us have some eureka moments. So this particular work started by a very chance meeting with a blind person around 18 years back. So this person was actually trained in music only, in both his graduation, but was extremely technology savvy. In terms of how can you use technology to solve the problems that he was facing as a blind person. And this started me on a journey, and what I am going to show you is this, some experiences of the journey which may be useful from user-centric design. So today's talk is all about innovation, and not only the technology transfer, and both Gupta as well as IHAB are very clear that they need to work on this. So I will talk about things that we have done which have managed to reach out of the lab. So that's, I think, important. So a device which actually got a lot of recognition and a lot of scaling was a device called SmartKey, which came out of our lab. And we launched it in March 2014. And today more than 120,000 users are using this device. And I will talk about a lot of learnings from this particular device. Very simple, but very challenges which are user-centric challenges. Talk about the other one, which is called Onboard. So this is a device which actually helps. So the first one is a mobility device which helps people who are walking, the blind people who are walking, to look at obstacles which may come on the way. And again, very, very India-centric or very, very centric to ecosystem that exists in developing countries. Again, this is a problem which actually helps visually impaired people to board public buses. We have done a very extensive testing on both mobile and daily buses, and had been awaiting funding to go on a large scale. And I'm very happy to announce that maybe in 2024 we already have the funding and also agreement with this Karnataka Bangalore bus transport company, and hopefully by end of this year we will see these trials on 500 buses in Bangalore. Another device which is still not gone into, we only have seen small volume production, but this is a device which allows digital access to people with blind people. Technology had been existing globally, but completely unaffordable. So we have been able to create technology, in terms of. I would say that both in the second project, the project which is on board, as well as on this, we had help from DST through their programs. The last something that I'm still working on, and the mention of the Section 8 company. So we created a non-profit Section 8 company to actually produce tactile diagrams for the people with blindness. So before we started on this work, only the braille was available for Indian students with visual impairment. And only having braille represents text, so what really happens is, if you only have access to braille, you cannot actually pursue almost no STEM education, no management education, no economy, you can't study. All these which requires diagrams, so there's no access to diagrams. And today through a non-profit startup which was incubated at the IIT Delhi incubator, so we have a company called Raceline Foundation, which supports thousands of blind students in this country with braille and tactile. And something that we are very recently working on through a PhD student company recently. So this is a device which actually helps people. So things like GPS, Google Maps, and all these have made, because they also provide a voice interface, they made external outside accessible to people with even visual impairment. But once they enter the building, somebody were to actually come to this conference room, there's actually no visually impaired person can come unless he's assisted or she's assisted by another person. And that's a big barrier. So each time, let's say you have to go out, somebody else has to accompany, you will actually be grounded for most of the time. That's not feasible at all. So we are looking at issues of indoor navigation. Today we have, again, a student who just graduated on his PhD work, where we did a pilot with All India Institute of Medical Sciences. We have a startup which works on called HIVE, which is working on making indoor spaces accessible. Not just to people with visual impairment, but almost all people, because many places have very poor signages, and that makes it more complicated. And this is an ongoing project where we are looking at, there's a talk about Indian data sets. So there's also a project on that. So our public spaces have many more things than typically a public place in a country like US or Europe or Canada, where you will not see stray animals, you will not see hand-painted signboards, you will not see multilingual signboards. So these are all, again, we created a data set around this and working on a device called Mobility Assistant for Visually Impaired. It's a project ongoing. So this is just a brief introduction of the projects that I talked about. Let me now go to the... Assistive technology has many design challenges. On one hand, computing and electronics is central to it, so that's good. This extreme affordability is what is the challenge. Because many of these solutions actually exist. For example, the tactile diagrams I showed, for the last 50, 60 years, people have been producing tactile diagrams globally. But in India, the challenge was the cost of each of the diagrams in a book was 150 rupees if you use exactly the same technology as what people are using in USA, Canada, Europe. So at 150 rupees a page, it's absolutely unaffordable to make a book. Because let's say if you have a book which has 50 diagrams or 100 diagrams, how do you make this affordable? So we looked at the whole, so you need to look at this. So on one hand, yes, we have volumes, unfortunately, just like you talked about road accidents and public buses. So number of people with visual impairment is very high. So that gives you the volume to scale, so that you can scale and create affordability. And hardware and software, the one thing good about it is both of them scale pretty well. So you get high volumes, you actually can reduce the cost considerably. That's a positive thing about electronics and so on. But we also need to look at very interdisciplinary teams to be able to solve these problems. And finally, the topic of today's discussion is the design has to be user-centric. And it is more so in those cases where you yourself are not the user. For you to understand the requirements of a user, when you are not a user, is a very big challenge. So let me look at the pedestrian mobility challenge. So what was posed to us as a problem here was, what happens to obstacles? With a cane, you would have seen blind people walking, so always they use a white cane. Globally, it's a very wonderful device. It gives you a lot of information, not only about obstacles on the way, but it also gives you information about the nature of the surface. It gives you if there is a step change. All of these can be found using the right cane. So, those of you who have had occasion to talk to a person with visual impairment, wonderful device. But what it doesn't give you is the information about obstacles which project onto your upper body, which cannot be actually be detected by the white field, because it can only detect obstacles which are below it. And there is something that only a visually impaired person can actually tell you. Okay. So this was the problem that was posed to us. And the other problem is when you touch the way that the cane detects is by touching the object, which is okay for inanimate objects on the street. If there is a stone, if there is a, But what happens if there is an animal which is actually sleeping, okay, on the street? You can't touch it because when you are touching it, you do not know where you are going to touch it for a blind person, and the reaction to that would be extremely dangerous because the animal can jump on you. So this is non-contact detection. So these were the two challenges that were posed to us. And this is the device that we talked about before. It's an ultrasonic ranging device, 3 meters, it works. Warning through intuitive vibratory patterns. Complements white cane functionality, detected in hand. Suitable for all grips, low power and charges. So these were the specifications, and these were the easy specifications. Ultrasonic ranging is known to us. It's a fairly simple ultrasonic device. We know how to build electronics. We know how to do programming. So especially in computer science department at IIT Delhi, we had wonderful students to work with. So these are the problems which are easy to solve. But let me tell you the more difficult problems. What should be the modality for conveying information? Once the project was posed to us, our immediate reaction was we can give the sound output. We can say your obstacle, you say ultrasonic ranging. So you range, you find out the distance of the obstacle and say 1.5 meters or 2 meters. But when we pose this problem, so one thing is that in all these, now we are absolutely clear, we don't make any decisions on design. We always go back to the user, and we have been extremely lucky that 2 to 3 blind people have been working in the lab for the last 12 to 14 years through a collaboration with an NGO. And that's made the whole difference. Users being under the same roof, talking to our scientists, talking to our engineers, talking to our students. That's a major difference, I would say, that we could do in our lab, apart from the interdisciplinary nature of the lab. So immediately the reaction was, I don't want a blabbering device, because always there will be some obstacle. You are walking in the room and you will always be hearing something, and it's going to disturb me, I have to concentrate. And please remember, when a blind person is on the road, the sounds around them are absolutely important. They are the ones which gives them all types of safety and mobility. Without the sound, surrounding sound, you cannot do anything. So they don't, I don't want any artificial sound. It keeps on saying something, and I have to focus on this, I have to focus on the sound outside, whether it's traffic, whether it's people, whether it's... So after a lot of discussions, we decided that we will actually use vibrations rather than sound. That was one decision. Then once we use vibrations, so then the issue was that what should be the frequency, what should be the amplitude, because all of these have also safety norms, because we are carrying a device for hours together. If you have tactile sensation happening all the time. So we have to go back and look at, these are not things that when we started the project, we had no idea that we have to actually get into how does the interface work in terms of a tactile interface with a human scale or a human body. Second point, and again there was some talk about variations in buses and so on. If I make a device and give a device, so first our devices which our students made, I'm not carrying all the slides together, will be short talk. So the grips was, when we gave it to the people, the grips are all, people are used to holding. See, one major difference in India and the Western world is, almost any blind child there first goes through a mobility instructor before he or she starts using a cane. That's not the case here. Somebody gives a cane, maybe a charity, maybe an NGO, maybe somebody donates a cane and the person starts using it. There's absolutely no training to 99% of our blind people. Only somebody living in a city, has access to a special educator who can give a mobility training. So that makes it that the grips are all different. There are 3-4 major grips that people use. And now if I give a new cane, And if the grip has to change, that itself is a huge barrier not to accept the cane itself. So we have to actually do a reverse engineering of the grip so that we are able to get the right grip, which is actually acceptable to all. Size of the grip for a wide range of users. So first set of grips were not acceptable to women whose hands are small, and they said this grip is too large for us. So we had to completely do a re-engineering. The whole thing is fitted, the PCB and the electronics is fitted now within a very small grip, and which required a fair amount of engineering. Second thing was, it's a device which you have to charge. Once you charge, you can use it for 12 to 14 hours. Now the issue is, how do I convey this information that what is the charge level you need to recharge? Please remember, we are talking about visually impaired, and we don't also want to increase the cost by putting any display or any other software. So what we introduced was a buzzer, and when the person switches on or switches on the device, it gives you 3 buzzers. 3 beeps if there is above 70, 2 beeps 30 to 70%, and 1 beep if it is below 30%. So the person needs to charge. But this created another interesting challenge. Once the people started using it, they said, I'm sitting in a meeting, I want to now take my cane and walk out. I just hold the cane and keep it. I switch it on and it beeps. It disturbs all the others. So now, sometimes it should beep, sometimes it should not beep. So fortunately, we have 2 ranges here. We reduce the power to the ultrasonic sensor. Indoors we have a 1.5 meter range, outside we have a 3 meter range. Because indoors if you use 3 meters, it will keep on vibrating. So then we actually, through software, we just change this to not to beep when you are in an internal indoor. Again, very, very user-centric. This is not something that we can actually think about why this happened. This is something which is a use of dignity, doesn't want to draw attention to people. Last is a very interesting part of this. Color of the device. So the first reaction in the group was, after all we are giving to the blind people, how does it matter what color it is? But by this time we were wise enough that not to make such decisions ourselves. So we decided to talk to people, what colors they wear. And the first girl we talked to was said, will you wear clothes for yourself or for others to see? I'm not living in a world where everybody is blind. I live in a world where a lot of people, other people whom I interact with, they can see, and they like me in this color or they like me in that color. And they tell me that this color suits her. Again a decision, then we had to do a complete survey, and finally the device is available in 2 colors. So a lot of things we think about could be completely off the mark, and that's why the user-centric design is absolutely important. So let me talk about mobility. So there are 2 projects that I want to talk about today. So look at this bus stop in Delhi. Look at the number of routes that actually this bus stop has. And imagine a visually impaired person standing at the bus stop and wanting to board his or her bus. Unfortunately, in the last 10 years, getting input from other person has become more difficult, because anybody who is actually standing in the bus stop is actually not standing. We all know what they are doing. They are texting, they are looking at a YouTube video, or they are... And now this person who is actually a blind person has no luxury to find out whether he can or he cannot, or she can or she cannot disturb that person. We do a lot of profiling before asking for any query. Next time you ask, let's say, you will not ask a random person about. You make a judgment whether this person is likely to first both know what you are asking. Second, whether he is also likely to be cooperative. This decision you make, you may sometimes be wrong, but you try to do this profiling. But this luxury doesn't exist for a person with blindness. He is going to randomly ask, मेरी बस आ गई क्या? 464 में जाना है, मेरी बस आ गई क्या? And now, his response is, imagine you are busy doing something, texting or looking at a video. हाँ, आगे चले जाओ. The guy may actually board a wrong bus. And this is actually happening. Okay. So it was very important that it has to be an independent access. So what is the route number? And second problem, the buses do not always come. Again, in India, is a situation which is very typical. Those of us who have traveled abroad, we know that even if other bus comes, he stands behind, opens the door only after coming to the bay. But because of the ecosystem, because of so many things, the rush on the bus stop and so on, and there is a distance to be traveled. And this distance is a very, very difficult distance to be traveled, where the entry door of the bus is. If the bus is not standing at the bay, and we've taken a lot of video recordings when we did this project to say that up to 20 meters the person may have to travel to board the entry door if you have to cover 95% trial of the way. So this was a solution we came up, which is a solution which is called onboard, which allows, there's a speaker on the bus which is the audio feed, there's an RF transponder, and this is the device that we talked about, which is now going to go on to the Bangalore buses. This was a DSP supported, TIDE supported project. So in this, some experience from this. Now there are two sets of users here and we cannot ignore either of them. One set of users is actually the user who is commuter, who is going to use this solution to actually board the public buses. But the other user is also important, very important, who is actually the bus operator. The infrastructure, the depot infrastructure, the buying of this in terms of simplicity and so on and so forth is so much important if your device has to be successful. Please remember, the number of blind users today is very small, so they are not a commercial sort of a pressure group. And they are also not so vocal in terms of the So from the commuter's point of view, we created a solution which is very easy to use and train. Just two queries, query and select, both of them are tactile marks. We also created modes like auto query or pre-selected. I know that I only have to take this particular bus, I don't even have to query. Otherwise, normally the way it happens is a device which is similar size to this, which a user holds, and there are two buttons, one query and one select. Query creates all the route numbers on speaks this device, and if the route number is of interest, then you press the select to get the audio output from the bus, and that becomes the audio. So we also created an additional hardware or a mobile app. So if you need distance, visually impaired users will need a distance, so it's an additional hardware, otherwise it's From a bus operator's point of view, installation, maintenance, very important. Reliability and robustness is important. When they wash the buses, it should be, all the other specs that are required for any type of an installation in a bus has to. And the last part is also very important, training needs. What type of a training that this bus operators have to do? For example, our device now, as we are just going ahead with Karnataka, we are creating all types of training information in Kannada to be able to solve this, because that's a language that most of the bus drivers and conductors will understand. And even for the users. So this is where I would like to stop. Go back to the last slide. So that's
70 characters per minute. Okay. So this is but this is a typical curve that you see. We kind of typically saturate around 40 to 50. Good keyboards takes you to 60 faster, and that's considered a good keyboard. So then voice gives us about 100. Okay, and that is not a bad thing.
So how do you take into account the dialectal variations? Because there are lots of dialectal variations in particular language.
So the smallest of what we will call a dialectal variation. So I'll give you a different answer on this question. I don't know if you've heard of a language called Maori. Anybody has heard of a language called? Yeah?
New Zealand.
In New Zealand, say he knows it. You know how many people speak Maori?
4% in New Zealand.
Which is what? Yeah, New Zealand is like, Kalkaji or whatever you might consider. Total population is 2 million basically. This like the population. Uska 4% is how much? 8,000 people or something. Whatever, something like that. It's a very कम population है, right? But they had a Maori Windows version in 1998.
Every signboard also, apart from English,
Maori is there in New Zealand, yeah? But not in Marathi, which is spoken by 90 million people, 9 crores. क्या बोल रहे हो डायरेक्ट? We are a big country. You understand? And there is still no Windows Marathi. There is a little bit now. if you, I mean, I don't know if you have done. Mr. Somjit asked me to talk to startups and talk to people who are developing stuff. So I wanted to give you this picture first of all. Okay. I also so many ICT solutions are possible for emergent users. Perfect to do something like this, and we were just doing this like what was considered blue sky. But now this is not blue sky anymore. This is realistic. It's here and now. Many opportunities for designing for these new users are now available to us, and emergent users are new to ICTs, and we are still learning on how to design for them. So just like the data from Western countries does not work for us, in a similar way, design approaches also do not work for us. We have to create our own design approaches. Okay, so we are still learning. Okay, and it is fantastic to be learning from the world. Of course, it is fantastic to be learning from the world. But I find one of the challenges that I find, and I don't have data to prove this, but this is just my misconception perhaps, or impression or whatever, is that we tend to borrow a lot of business models from the Western world, a lot of other design approaches from the Western world, which probably do not suit our requirements. So it's fantastic to borrow money from the Western world. It is fantastic to learn from the Western world about what worked in their society and what doesn't. But we have to find grounded solutions in our own reality. And many opportunities are now realistic. We don't have to worry about, for example, the number of dialects that we have. Think of each of that as an opportunity. Yeah? Okay. Sometimes we design for emergent users, as you can see, and sometimes we design with them, and there is a difference in that approach, and we can have a very long philosophical discussion about it, but they need to be user-centered, and we have the opportunity to find the solutions to many problems that plague the majority of the people in the world. And emergent users are not one group. I showed you one picture, I skipped this other picture. So I was very happy to see the word user and usage in your slides. So I have a PhD student, his name is Devanush. In 2013 he published a model called user usage model, which talks about how technology is adapted. And actually in this longer version of this lecture, I have integrated this model to demonstrate how it comes, and I can share those slides also with you. This is a paper in 2013. Sometimes this works and some. Okay, I must also plug in the last 10 seconds the conference India HCI, which is happening next week, and we thank IIT Mandi for being one of the major sponsors for that event also. I am going to go back to Dehradun next week, but many of you perhaps are from this region, this part of the country. You are welcome to join us over there. So it's called India HCI. It's an open platform. Everybody is welcome to come together, and we go to new places. We hope to go to IIT Mandi sometime, and we would love to be there. If you want access to the slides, you should do tinyurl.com/hive2023. So this is a picture that you can take. So you will, whatever. We of course always looking for collaborators. We will be happy to work on this. Thank you. Sorry to. Okay, nobody liked that word in our group. Then we tried many other words we have tried. Okay, and they are always somebody or the other gets put off by those words. So emergent has a.
Said that you will be using emergent. I was always thinking that it must be for the Gen Z or millennial.
But these are emergent users also.
Yeah. But it is literacy for focus here.
Well, literacy, but we could also look at elderly, for example. We have done some projects for elderly who have also many technology challenges. But any group of people who faces challenges by using technology, that's our user group in this particular lab. Thank you. Sorry for overshooting and not taking questions, but I'm happy.
Thank you. May I request?
So I'm here with my team, some of my team. We are working on a project that is focused on edible customized content creation through 3D printing. So we are going to present and how we are working. We are working as we have mentioned earlier, our team from HCI, that it's an industry academia partnership in which we are working and working very closely together with the industries that are actually startups integrated in our capitalist of AIH at IIT. So I will start with my presentation. As I introduce myself, I'm Dr. Sumit Murad, Dr. Garima Kumar. She is an assistant professor at the School of Chemical Sciences at IIT Mandi, and Girish is our industrial partner, a startup that is integrated at the catalyst of IIT Mandi. They are called Carbine Systems, and they work in the realms of making 3D printers for different purposes, from thermoplastics to metal 3D printing. And our team, most of the faculties that we are working on this project, we also specialize and focus on 3D printing and 3D bioprinting and their applications in different realms and different industries. I specifically work on the use of 3D printing in orthopedic tissue engineering. Dr. Garima works on the use of nanotechnology to develop surface modified 3D implants, while Dr. Pradeep, who is one of the PIs, he works on metal 3D printing. He is from School of Mechanical Engineering and at IIT, and one other co-PI, Dr. Tanushree Parsai, is from IIT Madras. So that's our team, and our students are rock stars who have been working on this project, include Sakshan, who is from my group, Kajal from Dr. Dharma's group. We have a postdoc working with us, Dr. Aftab, will be joining us very soon, and my MTech student, dual engineer MTech student from Conclave, who is our software support basically. So I'll be describing what we are doing. He plays a very important role in doing that. Over to you, Girish, to introduce your startup and how we are.
Thank you, Smith. My name is Girish Joshi. I'm the founder and CEO of Carbine Systems. At Carbine Systems, we obsess over how things are made. So Carbine is a deep tech, deep science startup working in advanced materials, advanced manufacturing techniques, and the way we interact with the machines for the manufacturing processes. So our products include metal 3D printers, composite 3D printers aimed at boosting the aerospace and defense industry, but as well as promoting the medical manufacturing industries in India. Our team consists of people from different backgrounds, from material science, from mechatronics. We have our mentors who are veterans in the industry as well as in the defense. And we have our incubator mentors from IIT Mandi and Venture Center, NCL Park. Over to you, Dr. Smith.
So, what has been our problem statement? So, we are working in the domain of human-computer interface, as we all know. We had amazing talks since the morning around the subject area. So, we are working on one of the interfaces that is related to taste, how the humanity interacts with food. Our civilization actually became a civilization where we had a constant supply of food. But this constant supply has been a problem since we are developing. In developed countries, it has been a problem for decades. But developing countries like India is also facing problems because of the availability of food around us. And as food developed as a culinary art, we are not just eating food as a nutrition requirement, but also indulging in food. Because of that indulgence, that food causes different kinds of diseases. As I'm a biomedical researcher, I focus on that. Different kinds of diseases are caused by the food habits that we have, the timings of food that we follow, and so on and so forth. So the diseases that linger around us because of these bad food habits, or nutritional anomalies in your food that you're taking, different diseases like obesity, cardiovascular diseases, different kinds of cancers and diabetes can develop, and we have these diseases going on in our society at large, and they are a socio-economic problem apart from health problem for our country and for the global population as well. Apart from that, on the other extreme, we also have population that lives in poverty and have less access to these food and lesser nutritional, whatever their requirements are, those are not being met. So both these problems stay together in the current world. As India is a developing country, we have both the populations together in underdeveloped countries. The second population is, takes up the major part of their population. So how can a human-computer interface solution solve these problems for the global society in general? We are focusing our project is focusing on that. So, HCI, as we know, interacts with these problems in various aspects, starting from novel interfaces, development of novel interfaces, to support traditional nutritional assessment. So there are a lot of apps that are around in the market, like Norm and other things that tell you how much you need to eat, what are your calorie requirements and other things. And depending upon that, what data it is feeding to you, you can take up your habits, eating habits, and work on your health and the nutritional requirements. If you are making sure that you are meeting them, and if you are not over eating to meet them. The second thing is portion estimation. It's the same thing. Then the third thing is behavior change and persuasive technology, where our project falls in. So if you have the data that your BMI, all the medical indices are with you, the biological indices are with you, and apart from those nutritional requirements, humans also have, because it's culinary art, it's an art form, we depend on taste and texture to eat food. So if you are giving prescribing me something to eat which is not of my taste, I'm not going to eat it, and I'll go back to something that is near to my heart and what taste and texture I like. So this is a very big problem, not just in the HCI domain, but in artificial meat and other things that are coming up, as well as 3D printed food, that the texture and taste cannot be, optimized. When we are talking about artificial meat industry, the biggest bottleneck is to control the texture of that artificial meat or artificial fish if you are having. As I'm a tissue engineer, I know how to grow the cells, but if you can grow the cells and get the texture out of it that is present in maybe red meat or in a fish, differently, how will you differentiate between these textures and how will you develop these textures? That is one of the major problems that this industry is facing. Like around the continent, there are multiple startups, hundreds of startups working on these problems, but these bottlenecks are still there, and we are working on it as we grow in these areas. Then the second thing is it also helps in working around sustainability, because as the global population, though we have as a civilization, as a top, we have developed to this level because of the food security that we have. But the major problem still lies in sustainability. What we have, the global needs, and what we have, the global supply. Are they, the demand is, basically fulfilling the supply. And during COVID and other things, especially with the war going on around the world, we are very, the WHO and the other agencies, worldwide UN agencies, are very, keen on working on these, because this can become again a very big problem that we don't have food around the world to eat actually. So we are focusing on this, that how we can, intelligently work around HCI based solutions to meet this, to address this problem. So some of the HCI solutions that are around in the market or undergoing research. The first one is the augmented perception of satiety. So in this, you have an augmented reality, that you are wearing, and you see the size of the food item that you want to eat as bigger or smaller or whatever you want to do. But again, there are challenges in this particular solution that the HCI domain is providing. Then there is 3D printing that we focus on. The current 3D printers that are around in the world are basically focused on printing very simple inks, basically like a dough or chocolate, or printing them into very simple formats. So this again cannot be used for making or satisfying your hunger when you actually want to eat and want to eat in a fashion that is nutritional for you. So it has to have a upper edge on these technologies, which are very simple nowadays around this problem. So as I have been talking, the augmented reality, if you are wearing this augmented reality, and you have seen the product that you are going to eat, the food item, your mind is not going to be really, worked around after that. So this is not going to work in real life situations. In food printing, as I said, printing of this food is a problem. Then generating different types of taste is a problem, because the inks are just either chocolate or dough, and you can later bake it. But you cannot make complex food items that can fulfill your satiety. then all these things that are being used around the world are very unhealthy because most of them, because of their rheological optimizations, fall in the category of oil and water emulsions. So these oil and water emulsions are bad for your health. And the
time's up, so please wrap it up in 5, 1 to 2 minutes.
You cannot have the texture. So our solution is what we are working on is to develop plant-based nanoparticle, derived nanoparticle-based fooding that can generate the texture, color, and taste at the same time. We will be developing a food 3D printer that can print it with the multi-head and with the specific technology that we are developing. And it will be interfaced with a mobile app that can take up your data, your biological data, your BMI requirements, your nutritional requirements, and as including apart from them, your taste requirements, which is very important if you are going to eat something for your health. So including that, all that data, we feed the 3D printer with that data, and that will print a customized food for you. So that is our solution. So the methodology basically aims that we are working on is on the development of an edible ecosystem that can, that focuses around texture, taste, and color. And our industry partner that is helping us, Carbine Systems. They are working on screw-driven print heads that can be used in such kind of 3D printers. The normal 3D printers, like I use different kinds of bioprinters, are basically pneumatic pressure-based systems. They are expensive, they are bigger systems, so we cannot use them, though the inks are very similar in bioprinting and food printing, but those technologies available right now are not applicable in these situations. Secondly, we are trying to develop an app in our research group, and we are very closely working with the industry how we can interface it with the 3D printer so that it can take the input that we have come out using the algorithm on the app. So, as I have already introduced, our group, basically the industry and us, complement each other. We are a group that work on 3D printers and bioprinters, the research group, while our industry partners are a 3D printer manufacturer. So that gives, helps us in our collaborative efforts towards this project. Then the key factors to assess our success will be firstly the development of screw-driven extrusion head printers that we are working on, and the second step that will be development of the app that will control these systems according to the user. Finally, this will help in having healthy personalized food solution for a healthy nation, which is the need of the hour right now. Thank you, and we are open for questions.
Talk, I didn't get an idea of what founder and CEO of an art. Today we are going to discuss about the drones, human-computer interaction in drones, and generally beyond line of sight operation or complex operation. So, as part of our discussion, we have three people. One is academia, two industry people. Dr. Satyadar will be taking care of the industry part, the research part, and I'll take about the industry part in the go-to-market that we have done. And from Bondweed team, we'll talk about the high endurance domination sort of problems that they have solved. So I'll ask sir.
Good afternoon. So about the research part, about the academia and research part, so we are mainly focusing on this problem in the development of a semi-autonomous surveillance drone. And why semi-autonomous, why not fully autonomous? To clarify the theme of the TIH itself, like this human-computer interface. So what we want to achieve is that there would be autonomy in some part of it, which I will be discussing later, which I will be elaborating, but there will be also some feedbacks from the users which has to be taken care of. And then the solutions will be coming in the form of this autonomy. So as I told that there are some parts of autonomy and then there are some semi-autonomous. So again, being in research and academia, we are at level 3, and myself is the principal investigator, and here is the device led.
Hello everyone, I am Tejasvi from Team Bondweed. We at Bondweed are building logistic drones and we have been using some demos with the Indian Army, and we are the only company those who have completed a 50 load of 50 payloads at a height of 10,000 feet. That was, and all the trials were being done in Tawang area, and we have also bagged some commercial orders related to these drones. So this is a kind of a unique product that we are building in India right now.
At Nord, we are trying to solve problem of confined spaces or the complex operation GPS or compass denied areas, like high power transmission line or inside a thermal power plant, or any GPS denied problems generally faced with drones. Like drones are really doing good job, but when it comes to operating in a complex situation manually, it generally crash down and it costs a lot. So we are trying to solve that, and we are on a stage of commercializing it. We have done some part of it, technology already commercialized. Some part of it is still in process in R&D. We are still doing, let's say, robusting the algorithm for scanning the area without human operating it completely, just giving the command of the area of operation to the drone. So the drone is taking care of the rest of the part using the AI pilot system, which we are developing. Yeah.
So as we were given the framework of the entire presentation, so this is the next slide where we are talking about the collaborative efforts, and we are specifically mentioning what are the similarities and what are the differences. I have made a little bit changes so in the slide, that is similarities in the problems I am discussing about, because we are like, if you see, like I am from academic research and they are from the industry, but we are talking about the problems which are pretty much similar. And what are those similarities? We basically talk about some autonomous motion planning, be it offline, be it online. And also, in case of like there is a change in the environment, right, surrounding you or your vehicle, then there should be autonomously, there should be a reaction to that, right? So we, all of us, we as a team, we are talking about that kind of thing. But at the same time, there is a difference in the solution approach. Being in research, we are in pursuit of more efficient and more novel research components. We want to see like how much we can make it further efficient, the methods and all that. But being in development, the industry has to always focus on to come up with some products which is marketable, which is commercializable. So we can find out ways to complement each other. Like at research end, we can really strive to look forward to achieving some higher goals that may be ambitious initially at this stage, but maybe 10 years down the line, they are surely feasible, realizable, and that to make it realizable, feasible, there the industry plays a big role. Okay, so as far as research part is concerned, in case of methodology, let me clarify the kind of things that we look into here. There are two different kinds of motion planning, autonomous motion planning. The first one is that offline motion planning, where we mainly focus into the sampling-based motion planning, and on the other hand, we have online motion planning. What I am presenting here is mainly the part of online motion planning. To the left side, unfortunately the videos will not play because it was embedded as a link. But in the left-hand side, what we are showing here is that one set of online motion planning, where we are able to use the maximum free space that you can see. So there was a news report based on our work, which clearly stated that like it just works like as if like a human brain, right? A human brain, the way it can see, the human eyes, the way it can see, the human brain, the way it processes its surroundings. That is how like our algorithm works, and we have also shown that like it is surpassing the other state-of-the-art algorithms to a great extent. And also it is valid for non-convex obstacle space, which is still not achieved by any of the state-of-the-art algorithms. On the other hand, like we also have other reactive methods, which you can see on the top right portion, and that is like again like based on some velocity obstacles and some other advanced methods based ones. We also need to consider, so one part is safe motion planning, the next part comes as the safe coverage path planning. Because when we are talking about surveillance drones, we need to cover a bigger space, right? And then the bigger space may be covered by single agent, may be covered by multiple agent. So I have shown like two figures which are illustrated for each of them. In the single digit case, it becomes more of a problem like traveling salesman problem. But on the other hand, you have the challenge of ensuring safety and condition freeness. On the other hand, for multiple agent, this is a problem of like how you are efficient, you are partitioning your entire space. Right? So what I have shown here is just Voronoi partition list. And other two components that we need to do, that is the prioritized motion replanning. That will come with all of them. And some offline learning about the anomalies, which we are going to study this. Yeah, over to the next.
Couple of other things that I would like to highlight here regarding our project at Conclave. So our metal structure is completely built in India itself, and we have tested it with approximately 300 kgs of weight. And it has a self-flying technology. Also, it can paradrop payload at any location. It only needs a 3-meter space where at any area it can automatically drop the payload, and it can also land at, within that area. Also, our product is completely multi-utility, where it can it has a swappable mechanism where we can we have made a payload swapping mechanism where ration or ammunition can go on a fire equipment can be also be replaced with the prior product. So this is a small brief regarding the product that we are building right now.
How much distance?
It can go up to 20 kgs, 20 kilometers, 10 kilometers to and fro. That was being tested with 50 kgs of weight in Tawang area.
Yeah. So now I'll just try to add something. The presentation started more of a solving a complex area problem, taking a decision, then we jump into a long range high endurance. So how does it relating to each other? It's important to connect with the context. So let's say even in a long range high endurance, we have to do a precision landing for the for areas like terrain areas or something like that. So part of a technology of precision landing or like where there is a problem of avoiding a collision or seeing the surface is viable to land or not is also add on to this the last slide that he had presented from Bonvi. Now coming to the part of INOD, what we are doing, we have already done some sort of POC in real world. What doctor have presented in terms of simulation, we have worked into this similar segment for last 3 years, and we have done the software simulation, we have done the physical hardware prototyping, where drone is capable of moving point A to point B autonomously without manually controlling it, just giving a destination point, the rest of trajectory planning, multiple path planning, choosing the optimal path and following the trajectory with self-balancing and avoiding the collision on the road. Now, but this has no practical, this is not serving any application. You have to build on the top of it. This is just a proof of concept of the technology. So what we have done, we have added on few of the modules to this arrangement in terms of, let's say we want to scan the X by Y area without having GPS, without using LiDAR. So LiDAR, when you put a LiDAR on a drone, it adds a lot of cost. So it adds a lot of cost and it also consumes a lot of power. So this is a bigger problem in terms of LiDAR. What we are trying to solve this is creating a local map on the go, scanning the place and then deploying the mission. So this is one of the applications. Other than this, there are possible application in terms of warehouse management, inventory management. We have already done some sort of small demos to them. Other application I have also highlighted in terms of localizing inside a power plant. So let's say any conventional drone can scan outside. What about inside? Due to high magnetic field interference, drone is going to deflect and crash. So how to solve that? This technology can help in sustaining the drone flight inside those areas. Now, how these drones are going to make a place in the market? Talking about the go-to-market. Let's say you are buying spending X amount of money for byproduct, and the similar sort of money is going to be cost to this product, but you can operate outside and inside for the same machine. So it is increasing the ROI for the operational company or companies who do as an operation service. So the reason this technology is really helpful for those kind of things. Now, collaborative approach, I'd like to highlight few other things.
Okay, to finish the last two slides very quickly because we have got an alarm. So the key success factors that we can see, like the handshake between the research and the industry, right? So we can think that like, okay, we can finish developing some products with more and more efficiency, with higher level of efficiency, higher level of effectiveness in a shorter period of time. That is one kind of thing. And how much we can really say that what kind of novel and innovative features, required features for in a customer-centric way that we can do, so we can develop something in much better way and faster way. And for that, like we will really look for like some active help from the TIH like organizations, where like they will be they're expected to facilitate this interface, right? In the form of some knowledge and expertise exchange. Being in the industry, they don't have really time to get all the state-of-the-art methods. Being in research and academia, we don't have that kind of luxury to understand the kind of depth that we need for marketability, so we can actually interchange our things. And also on the top of that, when we are talking to each other, nowadays all of us, we talk about IP protection, all these things, right? So all those legal aspects. So I really request the TH kind of agencies to kind of help us to devise the protocol, I mean, help in the sense that devise the protocols so that we get, like all of us will get benefited out of it. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I request jury members for the questions. We can start from Referent General.
There is a lot happening on the technology front. Everybody's talking about Gen AI and everybody's talking about metaverse and things like that. So could you elaborate on the current priorities and key focus areas for DST and SERP?
Yeah, I think, as I said, there is going to be transformation taking place across the world, but India is a particular case where the next 5 years going to be very transformative. Disruptive technologies are now in fact dominating the entire world. India has emerged a very important player. These two missions, the National Mission for Interdisciplinary Cyber-Physical System and the National Quantum Mission, they will bring some big change. The way research is done, the way technology is developed, the way businesses are done, and the way industry functions, all changes are going to change. Now, gone those days when we work in a traditional way of all these areas. Now, technology is going to dominate every year, and with that dominance, we all need to learn those things, because it's not just that those who want to use those technology to be learned, but also those who are going to see the application of this technology should learn. I mean, we have now learned in a good way how to operate our mobiles. See, now everybody knows how to operate the mobile. Even an illiterate person knows all the how to go to YouTube, how to see, and even Twitter and all. Same way, these technology need to be learned by us.
Correct. You're right, sir. And when it comes to technology, right, there has to be a collaboration with the industries that are there. So what are some of the strategies that are being employed to enhance collaboration between the government, industry and academia to promote research and development in India?
So as I mentioned in my address, as on date, I would say the academia and industry, they sit at two different ends. There is a need for trust building. Government and private, they do not trust enough. Government thinks that whatever money they are giving to private will go to waste, unutilized, badly utilized, and so the accountability is not there. private thinks all government is corrupt. So they think that they had to bribe people to get funding. In last, I would say, decade, things have changed a lot. Digitalization has really helped going transparency, going for less corruption and all this. But I think we need to go even further on this area. I believe that private and government, they must work in tandem. And rather, I would say that private sector should be more empowered so that they bring quality, they bring the product which is sellable, going to market. They will also bring a lot of competition in the market so that the product can become cheaper. Today, some products are very proprietary item of some companies. They remain very expensive. When the conditions are there, good condition will bring prices down. So I think, and the government has been promoting this kind of private-public partnership. And hopefully in next 5 years, you will see a big change taking place in this area as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So like you rightly said, sir, there is a lot of technological advancement, right? And there lie a lot of opportunities and challenges with it. So how is the government adapting its policies and programs to stay ahead of the curve and foster innovation when it comes to technological advancements?
So two big changes that are taking place. Government is promoting innovation in the academic institutions. Now, in fact, most of the research support given to the academic institutions are that contain innovation part very strongly. Even national education policy has now promoting, the school education in the innovation. Government itself has adopted technologies and innovation in their routine official work. Most of the ministries in government of India, they are digital, they are online. No, there are very few which are running the physical files. That brought a lot of efficiency. Earlier in GST, proposal used to be received in 300 pages and 400 pages, and all that need to be scanned through by individual and all. Now it is all online. So the time that is saved is very, I would say, very contributory.
Correct.
So that is bringing efficiency, that is bringing transparency, that is bringing down the corruption. There are no underhand dealing now where somebody will run the file. File is run by the computer.
Correct.
So I think a whole lot of these transformation is bringing so much of efficiency and transparency in the government.
Correct. So, sir, like you mentioned, right, all this is changing, and this change has to be brought about with our future generation of kids also. So, what are some of the measures that are being taken to inspire the next generation of scientists and researchers in India? I mean, MEP is already there. What other measures are being taken?
So, as I said, the challenge of this education was that our children are taught physics, chemistry, mathematics, and in those kinds of things. All our exam patterns have been on physics, chemistry, mathematics. So we were making students learn, or rather mug up all the syllabus and write for the exam.
Correct.
Now, in fact, government is promoting innovation. So how a children, say 6th class student, can think of some innovation. Department of Science and Technology has launched a program called Inspire Manak. Inspire Manak is for the students from class 6 to 10, because that is the age where students can be encouraged to think about innovation.
Correct.
They can think of any innovation of their level. See something like, how do we say have some kind of assisted technology or the innovation related to the say water, agriculture, health and all these things. If the student of class 6 can think of those innovations, he will try to create a kind of model of it. He is the future innovator.
Correct.
He will get interested into that. Besides the normal curriculum that he will undergo,
Correct.
he will also do. Now, government has developed system for promoting such young innovators for the future.
Correct.
At different levels, at the undergraduate level, at the postgraduate level, at the PhD level.
Correct.
This is how India should. And this has been the case in university outside India.
Correct.
To develop innovation. Now India has also come forward with such model, right from the early education to university education. You bring innovation as part of the curriculum.
Correct. So, sir, our final question to you is, how do you see the landscape of scientific research evolving in India in the coming years?
So, again, as I said in my address, research has been again traditionally supported in terms of doing research in the area of same physics, chemistry, mathematics area.
Correct.
So it was invention based.
Correct.
Or I would say basic science driven research.
Correct.
Government is now bringing a new model as part of the National Research Foundation, where the research will be driven by innovation, and research will be driven by innovation going to the market.
Correct.
That change, now if you have a research going to the market, your entire thinking process of research formulation, proposal formulation will change.
Correct. Correct.
If you think anything that you develop going forward to the market, I think then your thinking will be beyond the basic research. This is all the foundation of National Research Foundation idea. And that is why, as part of the National Research Foundation, we are bringing private sector to fund research. In India, the private sector funding to research is only 39%, as against 80% in US or Germany or UK. In India now, with this kind of initiative, we expect that research funding from private sector will get double in next 5 years. That is the whole idea about changing landscape of research support as part of the National Research Foundation. That's the idea.
Thank you so much. It was an
Sir,
absolute pleasure.
I have one.
Yeah.
As a layman, this quantum, can you define what this quantum technology is and what is is going to change?
So, let me try to explain from the basic so you understand. So, how is the classical technology works? And then you will see what is the quantum technology, how it is works. So, in the classical way of working, you have a system called transistor system. So, in the transistor system, you must have something called binary digits. So, all computing in the traditional, conventional system is the combination of 0 and 1. So, it's called on and off. All combination is 0 and 1. So, suppose you want to write a digit 10. Then it will write 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, something like it will become digit 10. So you need 10 digits to represent a 10, say 9 or 10 of the classical digit. Alright? So what do you mean? Let me try to explain. So what is 0 and what is 1? So there are two stages of electron. Electron in a atom, it will go from one orbit to another orbit. So this orbit is 0, whereas this orbit is 1. So it is all digits and the combination together. In the quantum thing, what happened? The duality of wave and the particle model occurs. So where any particle can be between 0 and 1 state. Lakhs and crores of possibilities are there that between 0 and 1, anything which is appearing between 0 and 1 can also be represented in quantum theory. Now that makes all the difference that now the digit 10 can be written in the combination of just 2 instead of some 10 or 15. Now this is one small example, but you think about a digit in crores. That crore digit can also be written in just 2 digits. Whereas a conventional computer will take something like 20,000 number. Now what is the relevance of this? So when you do computation is what? It is multiplication, addition, subtraction or division of 2 digits. So 1,000 digit multiplied with 1,000, another 1,000 digit, make it some 1 lakh or something, can be done by quantum computer 2 multiplied by 2. So there is a big difference in the.
So you mean say efficiency, speed?
Efficiency and both speed and efficiency. So I'll give you example, and this is a very good example. Any communication that you do. Suppose I am calling you on phone. This can be, anybody can tap our conversation, can decode our, even if I am talking in coded word, it can be, you can decode. But quantum computations are secure. Even if somebody has quantum technology, cannot decode my quantum. So suppose India and say India is talking to a friendly country, say US. China can enter and find out what India is talking to US. In quantum communication, China का उनके पिताजी भी नहीं कर सकते, रिकॉर्ड नहीं कर सकते. So हम ये एक बहुत बड़ा चेंज लाने वाले और India is going to bring this very soon.
So you mean say physics will change?
Physics will change.
Physics can
chance. You have to read my book, Anecdotally Yours, to figure out how this chance came to me. I am from Bangalore. I've been working in Bangalore for a long time. However, this opportunity came to take a course in IIT Mandi in the area of artificial intelligence for the students from the industry perspective. And it so happened that I did it in 2022. And then IIT Mandi felt that with my corporate background, I will fit into the role of a CEO here, where the government is very keen to make these technology innovation hubs run by CEOs, because we are a Section 8 company, it's a corporation. So they are very clear that the academia should not run this. So getting a person from the industry is very difficult, because no one wants to come to the academia, because that's a different world. And the academia don't move to the industry. So there is a big movement issues. But with 35 years of experience in the industry, I felt that let me try this out. Let me see how it works to be in having a 360-degree view of the government, of the academia, that I am from industry, how all these things will pan out. So that is what I want to do. So I would say it is a chance come my interest of taking my last leg of my career in this area. Just to try it out something new.
How crucial is collaboration in the success and growth of startup ecosystem?
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it is extremely important. So the startups, if we are mentoring 70 startups in IIT Mandi, the startups have an expectation that it should be mentored by IIT Mandi faculty. So everyone has a view about the faculty and the students, the quality of students in IITs. And IIT Mandi is no stranger to that. So people, I would say that because of the IIT, the prefix of IIT, people come to us and they expect mentorship, they expect technical help, they expect the research to give them the guidelines and other things. And that is the reason the startups come to IITs. One of the big successes has been the IIT Madras Research Park, all of you must have heard of. So when it was so successful, the other IITs also took up the challenge to make them as successful. And IIT Mandi is one of the younger IITs, started in 2014. So we also feel that this has to be done. And thankfully, though we are at a slightly off location, still you'll be surprised that our startups are from 18 of the 30 odd states in India. So it is a very good representation we have across the country. So I would say startups are coming to us with expectation that they will get the technical support from IIT Mandi and entrepreneur help in terms of getting the right kind of entrepreneurship help from the startup. Plus, given that we have the funds which DST has provided us, we can have 4 variants of startups. A startup can work as an entrepreneur in residence, you must be aware of it. The startup can work in a Prayas mode, in an ideation mode. The startup can, these are the 2 grants. We don't expect any stake there. Then we get into seed support system, and then we get into the acceleration mode. These are the two areas where we take stakes in the startups. And again, the government guidelines is do not look for a startup for stakes only. Help them to grow. So therefore, we have been given guidelines that not to have a stake more than 9%. So therefore, we limit our stake, so limit our risks. Yet we invest in that, and because we invest, other venture capitals come because of the validation we bring to the exercise.
Apart from these typical challenges that startup face, what are the other challenges do startup faces in academic environment? And how does IIT Mandi and IHub address them?
See, the one startling statistics is the faculty does not look for entrepreneurship, and the entrepreneurship possibly can become a faculty member as a visiting faculty member. So in India, the statistics is only 1% of the faculty have startups. While you take an example of a MIT or a Stanford, that every professor will have 2-3 startups, and they promote that. So here the encouragement is, can we make the faculty get their ideas into the market through a startup which they can build, they need not fund, but they can build through technical merits. So to your question, why these startups are not happening, I think because it was not happening, the Technology Innovation Hubs have been formed to enable that to happen.
So sir, what are the factors contribute to the sustainable growth of startups in today's competitive environment?
Sustainable, you mean sustainable in terms of running it successfully, or running it in a sustainable way in the real world of sustainability?
No sir, running it successfully. What we see, startups usually shoot up and then they see a drop. So there needs to be a sustainable growth.
There are a lot of books, a lot of studies which have been done. So the first thing about, as I told you, the first thing you have to solve it, you have to identify the problem.
Correct.
You have to find that if the problem is worthy to solve. If the problem is worthy to solve, how will you find that the problem is worthy to solve? Are there users? Is there usage? I think you are there in my presentation. So that is a very, very important, we call it as a toothbrush model. Wherein if at all there is a user base and there is a usage, then problem has been defined. If the problem is defined, building a solution is an easier part. But if we don't define the problem properly, it is an issue. So therefore, we are trying to correct that, because a researcher is interested, his end goal is to publish a paper.
Correct.
And publish a patent. He is not interested in seeing the product in the market. When the startup, he always thinks that I am trying to come out with something which people will use. So therefore he is seeing the problem, but he doesn't have the research background. The the researcher has a research background, but he does not see the market. Our job is to bring these two together. So if at all we will be successful, if the TIHs are successful in bringing these two, I call it as a aisle in the airlines. So these are two independent lines, but they have to converge somewhere, and that convergence we have to bring. Yes.
Could you share a few success story or notable achievements of startup that have been incubated by IIT Madras?
I think one of them is lying there. You can see the specs we have developed for the blind. Have you seen that? Try that.
No, we haven't.
Just try that. It is a camera there, and you can close your eyes and you will get a voice prompt. You can read the newspaper, see the currency note, take out money from the ATM, and do many other things. That is one of the successful startups we have invested in. The second one is, which was mentioned by Dr. Akhilesh Gupta, where we have created, Dr. Behra, that we have created a yoga mat. So nowadays everyone is health conscious, but everyone takes a yoga teacher for some time, and then उसके बाद बोलते हैं मैं अपने आप कर लूँगा. And there is an issue of decay in terms of whatever you have learned, and if you don't have a teacher, the ability to perform decays. Therefore, this mat has been created so that it will tell you. It has 8 sensors in the mat. If you come to Mandi, I will show it to you. I could have carried one mat for all of you, but it has 8 sensors in it. It is sponsored by Samsung, research by the person has come from Samsung. So what we are doing is, if you do yoga and you are not doing it correctly, like for example Surya Namaskar, all of you must be aware of. Surya Namaskar, there are 2 or 3 things I also still struggle. So therefore it will tell you that you are not doing well, not doing correctly. So that is a great success because it is sold in 18 countries. It is being sold at the rate of on Amazon. Around 300 pieces are being sold every month, and it is sold for $289 in the US market and 10,000 rupees in India. The point I am making is user and usage. Yoga जो करता है वो हर दिन करता है. User base is also increasing. I was taking the statistic that out of a 1.4 billion population, a significant number must be doing or at least trying to do yoga. But perfect करते हैं कि नहीं, different matter है. But people must be doing yoga. So therefore user usage, if it is fixed, people are struggling to do yoga without a teacher. This is the product. So user usage toothbrush model, please remember that. Yeah.
So how does IIT creates an environment that fosters startups and innovations?
Okay. Yeah, we have a tough time getting people. We have huge facilities, but people are not willing to work out of Mandi. They come. But we are telling them to come for at least a week or 2 and what will they do. Mandi is a nice place, but coming and going could be difficult.
Correct.
But I tell that if BITS Pilani could be successful, if IIT Roorkee could be successful, why can't IIT Mandi be successful? They are also not in the heart of the metros or whatever, isn't it? So therefore people should not worry about, but the standards are as good, I would say, if not better, than other places like BITS Pilani and IIT Roorkee. I always give example. So the point is, we have great faculty, we have great labs. The Technology Innovation Hub truly believes that we want to get into translation research. We are guys who ask the guys that come out with problem statements. Funding is not a problem, technology is not a problem, but come out with a problem statement with the same model of user and usage.
Absolutely. AQI is also an added advantage, sir. AQI, IIT Mandi का, यहाँ पे देखिए वहाँ पे.
AQI, absolutely right. I think anyone of you have gone to Mandi, it's a fantastic place. You open your door, you find a hill.
Correct.
You open your door, you'll find the river. It is a beautiful place, but someone will come there to figure that out.
So my last question to you, sir, how can government policies better support the growth of startups in India?
See, government policy can do that, provided you saw the last slide I shared. They have to come out with KPIs for the researchers, KPIs for the industry. Industry should be incentivized to work with research. Abhi DRDO is incentivized to work with IITs, but industry is not incentivized. So industry does not care what research happens. So if at all this kind of two-way incentivization hota hai, researchers are told that the more you translate research, rather than more you publish papers, you will be given your promotion. If the industry is told that the more you work with this thing, you will be getting some incentives or you're getting a subsidy to do that. If these things don't happen, we'll be just talking, nothing will happen. So those 6 KPIs which I talked about, I think that has to be honored. Otherwise things will not work out. If you need my presentation, we can send it to you so that it will help you know the 6 KPIs.
Thank you, IITs, and we have the brightest scientific minds in the country. However, if I had to ask you what unique academic and research environment at IIT and IIT Mandi sets it apart from other institutions, and what are some of the initiatives that are being implemented to foster interdisciplinary collaboration?
Yes, you see that every IIT have their own strength, and IIT Mandi is a very young IIT, so we have to figure out where we have to focus our energy. So as of now, we have given 4 specific directions. One is that you saw that we have this conclave on human-computer interface. So this is also one of our theme area, and we have established a center in human-computer interface. And I told you 4 grand projects we are doing. That is artificial skin or digital touch, digital taste, that means biomanufacturing customized food. Similarly, the digital smell, right, and then air ambulance. These are some of the focus area, and you saw that. So this is SCI, human-computer interface. We have a center for AI and robotics, where again we focus on some user specific theme. Drone technology is one of the things. Drone technology both in disaster management, drone technology in civil applications. So these are some of the things that we are focusing. We are focusing in developing a robotic nurse. Particularly in pandemic time, you saw that we have to insulate the doctors or caregivers from the patient, and still we have to care for the patient.
Correct.
So these kind of some of the things that we are working in Center for AI and Robotics. We have a Center for Quantum Science and Technology, where we have taken, we have made a consortium with National Institute of Material Science in Japan, PRL Hyderabad, PRL Ahmedabad, and other institutes within India. And we have created a consortium. We have hired, particularly the faculty member who would work in quantum technology. We have now taken PhD students in this area. So we are developing this area. Given that India is focusing on the quantum mission, our plan is to build a quantum computer in 2 years. So that is, of course, we are a little aggressive, and hopefully we will be able to do that. And fourth technology is that you know that India is facing mental health problem. Not only India, the entire globe.
Correct.
But unfortunately, mental health doesn't have a proper understanding, because nobody understands what is mind.
Correct.
Fortunately, in Indian tradition, mind, body, consciousness, the holistic view is already there in Ayurveda, is there in Bhagavad Gita, is there in Upanishads, is there in many of our literature. We need to tap that understanding and bring into science and create products that can help those who are going through mental stress, anxiety. Besides that also, the kind of disease we have, brain disorder disease that we talk about, whether it is autism, Alzheimer, whether we can also work on that.
Correct.
So these are primarily 4 interdisciplinary areas in which we are working. For the last one, we have named that center as Indian Knowledge System and Mental Health Application. And besides that, one more which we are focusing in interdisciplinary way is sustainable technology. This is all. As of now, we don't want to go in many areas, but this.
That's fascinating to know. I mean, it was really fabulous. The one on the Indian ancient history, right? That was fabulous, sir. So while we are talking about innovations, right, that collaboration between industry and academia is very important. So could you elaborate on some of the partnerships that IIT Mandi has established with industry and how it's contributing to the overall, science and research field of the country?
You say that industry is a key player. Because of my connection with TCS, we are bringing TCS on board as far as human-computer interaction is concerned. But recently we are working with the TCS also to give a push to entrepreneurship program within our academic curriculum. So we are setting up a program where our students will get credit for entrepreneurship activity they do. And that they will do based on a competitive basis. It is not that it's free for everyone.
Correct.
Those who have that aptitude, that knack, we will scout that, we will mentor them. TCS will be a partner in this. Other people also will be partner in it. So we'll mentor our students and hopefully we'll bring out best entrepreneur from our student, whether mostly undergraduates as well as other students, postgraduate students. But this is mostly focused on our undergraduates because some of them are really very smart and they can become a good entrepreneur if we give them that ecosystem. They don't have to travel to Bay Areas or Silicon Valley to become entrepreneur. Can we make them here? So this is something that we have been doing. And you see that we are in the process of creating what you call research park.
Okay, like IIT.
Yeah. Of course, IIT Mandi is locationally very remote, to be frank, because to reach IIT Mandi means you have to first go to Chandigarh and then take a drive of almost 4 to 5 hours to reach Mandi. And it is, so first of all, you saw that we have this Section 8 company, IHIVE and SCI Foundation. We also have a very vibrant incubator called Catalyst. And we have already invested more than 20 crore in the funding. And one of these mentored companies had an exit because it was procured by America, some American company, and that has given some good profit to our. And then we hope that many such companies will have exit route. That means they are purchased by some big company. And but the idea here is that how do we bring our youth who are creative, make them think bigger, and they have a better understanding what kind of technology, what kind of science is required for our society. And we have more than 200 startups incubated currently at IIT Mandi. And we have taken some space in Bangalore to create an ecosystem so that our startups also can be situated in Bangalore. We have IIT, SCB forum where we have taken some space there. So, and they, being in Bangalore, they can have much bigger outreach also. So, and industrial connect also. So these are some of the steps as of now.
Absolutely, sir. And you mentioned a little bit about entrepreneurship and inculcating that culture of entrepreneurship in students, right? There is a lot happening on generative AI front, and we all heard what Sam Altman had to say about Indian researchers. However, while taking it with a pinch of salt, right, there are no pioneering technologies that are being made in India, or I'm not sure if they are being made. So, what steps should be taken to, make our students, more, what do you say, pioneering in emerging technologies and things like that?
This is what today we have been discussing.
Okay.
Why the AI technology has not been grounded to Indian system because lack of Indian database. We don't have Indian database. Our Indian researchers always worked on database that are there in MIT or Berkeley. Those are all American database, maybe European database. We don't have our own database. And we have to wake up to this reality. We have to create. So, of course, Indian language, Sanskrit itself, we have a great database and people are creating those databases. But on application wise, we don't have database. And I have, as far as IIT Mandi is concerned, all those areas I have told my faculty members, focus on generating Indian database. Unless AI is all about data.
Correct.
That you have to understand.
Absolutely.
We don't have Indian database, whether it's medical field, education field, entertainment field, any field you see, we don't have our own database.
Correct.
That is where we have failed. We have to now recognize and we have to invest in generating database for our Indian. And in India, again, every region is different.
Correct.
That is also another challenge.
Correct.
I am from Odisha. The database in Odisha will be different from what is database in Himachal. You see, it's completely different landscape. So these are bottleneck.
Correct.
So data, Indian data, this is the key to generate India-centric AI.
So, sir, you mentioned sustainability being one of the pillars of research for IIT Mandi, right? And, if I had to take it back a little bit, a month ago, a viral video showed of, trees being washed away in Mandi, especially, right? So, in the context of global challenges such as climate change and sustainability, how is IIT Mandi contributing to research and solution in this area, in this particular area? If you could highlight something.
You see that IIT Mandi is in a location that is seismic zone, prone to cloudburst, landslide, and everything. And we have to address these issues for sure. And our faculty member have already developed landslide monitoring system. But any system that works on data will take time to become robust because over the years you have to collect data.
Correct.
Because this landslide monitoring is based on data.
Correct.
So based on 1 year data, you cannot have a robust system.
Correct.
The system is installed. It goes through variation of data over the years, maybe 5 years at least. Any system is built. These data-centric models will not work instantaneously. Let me tell you.
Correct.
We have to be patient for it.
Correct.
So this is one direction we have taken. We are now working with other stakeholders, including Ministry of Earth Science and other DGRI, that how we can create a science of landslide and take mitigation, remedial measures. So these are some of the things we are working on.
Absolutely. So, sir, finally, how do you envision the future growth and development of IIT Mandi?
You see, IIT Mandi, the very positive thing is that we have very young faculty, enthusiastic faculty. It is very easy, to mold them. given a direction. Now we are not talking in terms of that you work in any area. Yes, we have to give their interest the prime focus. We should not fiddle with their interest. But that interest has to be oriented to get deliverables. So that way we have made already focused interdisciplinary areas where whatever their interest they can gear in these. So we are hoping that time-bound deliverables will come out from IIT Mandi over the year, and that would attract also talent pool, both in terms of students as well as faculty members to come. And as I have told you, entrepreneurship is something, is our also one of the focus area, innovation, technological innovation, and taking them to marketable research and technological innovation, resulting into product. That will be there on ground. So I would be happy if IIT Mandi can follow that path.
Thank you so much, sir. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Actually, this is our Plus Class 2, in which we are showing a 360 immersive video of Prashal Lake, which we have shooted in Prashal Lake. So we are showing the video in this. You can see the 360 view. Actually, this is for tourism purpose.
So myself Rahul Singh, I am from Hospital and we are dealing anti-neuro. So anti-neuro is the company. This is the name anti. This is a Netherlands company. So this company dealing in the EEG. So product is a 64 channel EEG. It's a sport model. So patient is you can see the patient is wear the EEG cap, and so patient will run the हिंदी में बोलो कंफर्टेबल. So ये ईगो स्पोर्ट मॉडल है, जिसको हम पहन के कोई भी स्पोर्ट एक्टिविटी कर सकते हैं. इसमें हम 64 चैनल EEG रिकॉर्डिंग करेंगे. अगर हम सपोज साइकिलिंग करते हैं तो उसमें ब्रेन का कौन सा पार्ट एक्टिव है, या गाड़ी ड्राइव कर रहे हैं और उस टाइम पे अगर सपोज अगर ड्यूरिंग द गाड़ी ड्राइव करते नींद आ रही है तो उसमें ब्रेन का कौन सा पार्ट एक्टिव नहीं हो रहा है, और अगर हम अवेक हैं तो ब्रेन में कौन सा पार्ट एक्टिव है. इस सिग्नल से हम जो है देख सकते हैं और उसका हम रिसर्च में काफ़ी यूज कर सकते हैं. सो ये हमारा प्रोडक्ट इसमें 64 चैनल के अलावा ये 250 अप टू 256 चैनल.
तो कुछ दिखा सकते हैं डेमो के किस तरह से क्या वर्क कर रहा है?
इसमें जैसे आप देख सकते हैं कि ये कैप है. तो इस कैप में ये एक्चुअल में ब्रेन का मॉडलिंग है. तो इस कैप को हमने यहाँ बना दिया. उसके बाद इस कैप में हम एक जेल फिल करते हैं. तो जेल फिल करने के बाद यहाँ पे जो है स्क्रीन पे जो है सिग्नल आने शुरू हो जाएंगे. सो अभी मैं आपको ये सारे यहाँ पेशेंट का डिटेल हम करेंगे इंटर, और इसके बाद जो है अभी हमें थोड़ा सा एक्चुअल में कुछ कनेक्शन के लिए हमें केबल चाहिए.
Everybody, please come. We can also have one more round.
So if you are ready, please let us know.
Yes, sir.
I have already taken?
No, not yet, sir.
Take.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.